So for the past few days, we've been getting bombarded with this story of the pro sports athletes kneeling during the national anthem. And what I've learned from this story and reading people's stuff on Facebook and everything else, people arguing over this, whatever side they took of it, whether you should kneel or you shouldn't, what I've realized is that the people who think that it's okay to kneel are still patriotic people. And we need to change this. We need to get rid of the national anthem altogether. We need to get rid of patriotism altogether. I don't understand, there's just not enough people who are awake in this world right now, and I don't understand it. I don't understand how people still don't know that Donald Trump wasn't elected president. He was selected president. Your vote didn't count. Didn't matter if you voted whatsoever. He was going to be the president. You know this by things that have been coming out in the media or coming out, in movies and everything else. He wins on the anniversary of the Berlin Wall coming down, the guy who wants to build the wall. And then we got the TV show called The Wall coming out. The Great Wall comes out, the movie The Great Wall. All of these things were planned years in advance. Donald Trump was selected as the president and not elected as the president. And all of this national anthem stuff is coded by the numbers, just like everything in our mainstream media, just like our sports leagues, just like our history. And if you're new to the channel, please check out the link I'm going to leave in the description called How to Gematria. It is the practice of coding numbers into words, and this story is no different than any other story. The Freemasons, the people alike, the people who rule over us, they use this system of coding numbers to rule over us, and they do it every single day. And I'm just so tired of seeing patriotic people, and this doesn't just go out to America, this goes out to the whole world. The reason that there are really truly people who dislike Americans, in the Middle East, there are radical Muslims or whatever who do not like America. I totally agree. But the reason they don't like America is because these people in power have been propagandizing them to not like us. Just like in America, how we're getting propagandized to, not like them and think that we're the best country of all time. North Korea, the same way. Everywhere else in the world. These people, the one world order already exists. We're living in it. It's existed forever. They're just trying to, make it even more convenient for them. People don't really hate each other. I can go down to the city right now and see someone of another race, of another culture, and honestly, I'm just going to say hi like I do to anybody else. And most likely they say hi back. That's what happens almost every single time. I've never once seen, someone of a different religion, of a different race, and I said hi. That it's never been like, I'm going to kill you or anything else. People actually get along if people just treat each other like they want to be treated. That's how the whole world should work. We shouldn't think that our country is better than another country, and that goes for every country. Patriotism is prejudice. I don't know how people don't understand that. It's just that we've been propagandized so bad in this country that people just can't get over that fact. They think that we're so much better. People think that we're fighting for freedom, and other people have died for freedom. No war that we have ever fought, including world wars, have been for the reasons that you believe that they were really for. The only way that things are truly going to get better in this world is if the whole world knows that there are people in power making us all fight. We're fighting their wars. We're killing ourselves over things that aren't true to suit their agenda. You know what I mean? Everyone in the world needs to know this. If we're at war with Korea or anything else, or, China, whatever, every Chinese person, every American person should know it's all a bunch of bullshit. And we should be, enjoying each other's company and treating each other positively, We all need to know this. If we all know this, there won't be any more wars. There won't be any things to be mad about. Why do people get so mad about things in this country that don't even really involve any of the normal person that's here, that's going to their job every day, being a slave, you know? Slavery never went away. It still exists. You pay your taxes, you know? What freedoms are people talking about? You own land, and then if you want to build a fence on that land, you got to go get permission from the courthouse or wherever else, or the city hall, get permission to build a fence. I mean, I'm not even kidding. When I was younger, my parents couldn't build a fence. They could only build it 4 feet high. The city wouldn't let them build it higher than that. And the dog jumped, they built it for the dog. The dog jumped over the fence, never bit anybody or anything, but the cop found him, and they sent my mom and dad a ticket in the mail for the dog being at large and being out of the fence or whatever, running away. Are you kidding me? You know, we couldn't build the fence higher because the dog couldn't jump over it that way. But you ended up having to pay a ticket. You get pulled over by a cop, what happens? No matter if you're guilty or not, if you're not guilty, the cop pulls you over and says you're speeding or whatever else. You got to go to court. If you win in court, you still have to pay money. You still have to pay court costs, no matter if you're guilty or not. It doesn't make any sense. We don't live in a free country. There's millions of examples I can list off. We're not a free country. Quit thinking we're fighting for our freedom. It's all a lie. It's all propaganda to get you to go kill yourself, get you to hate everybody, keep this world divided. And we don't need this world divided. We need people to come together. And that's the only way we're going to defeat these people. So all of that being said, let's look at the gematria of this story. And like I said, if you don't know what gematria is, watch the 15-minute video that I'm going to leave a link in the description of, and you will have a way better understanding of what I'm talking about. But I have thousands of videos documenting the same thing almost every single day. And I have my blog I'll leave a link to. So, the story, this was the article that I clicked on, and it talked about Donald Trump here. With son of a bitch comments, Trump tried to divide NFL and its players. And you notice how they highlight son of a bitch? Well, son of a bitch in Gematria equals 185. Just like Donald John Trump. You know, that's why they highlight this in the media, because it equals the same as his name. They also, in the article, they highlighted us versus them. They were talking about Steph Curry not hesitating to go to the White House and whatever else. And the president is embracing an us versus them conflict involving politics, whatever. Us versus them in Gematria equals 190, just like Star Spangled Banner equals 190. And the reason that we're getting all of this stupid kneeling stuff during the National Anthem and why it involves Colin Kaepernick, I'll explain in a second. But the reason we're getting it when Donald Trump is the president is because Trump in Gematria equals 88. And the president who signed into Congress that the National Anthem would be the Star Spangled Banner was Herbert Hoover. He did that in 1931. Herbert Hoover. H. H is the 8th letter of the alphabet. Herbert Hoover, a lot like 88. Trump in Gematria equals 88. The word kneel equals 88. The Star Spangled Banner equals 88. Francis Scott Key wrote it at the Battle of Baltimore because supposedly he was inspired by the Great Garrison Flag. Great Garrison Flag equals 88. And it was also written in Maryland, one of only 2 states that equal 88, Maryland and California. Think about that in regards to where Colin Kaepernick played with the 49ers in California. But the guy who wrote the music to the National Anthem, John Stafford Smith, his name equals 88. And also think about it in regards to Herbert Hoover and Donald Trump. Herbert Hoover in Gematria equals 159. Donald Trump equals 159. Francis Key equals 159. In the reverse method, it's all synced up. Donald Trump won the biggest election upset since the year 1948 when Harry S. Truman defeated Thomas E. Dewey. Harry S. Truman equals the exact same as Donald J. Trump. We'll just type it out here. Donald J. Trump, 148, 176. Harry S. Truman, 176, 148. The reflections, right? Look at Thomas Dewey, 159, just like Donald Trump. And Donald Trump also equals 48. Remember I just said he won the biggest election upset since 1948 when Dewey got upset by Harry S. Truman. Harry S. Truman also the only president to die at the age of 88. I mean, just think about that. On a side note, Harry S. Truman also was the president when the Korean War was going on. Trump also, when he won the election for the first time since, the biggest election upset since 48, the Indians were just in the World Series or whatever, right? The Indians hadn't won the World Series since 1948. It was the 112th World Series. It came to an end on 11/2. Just like how the 111th World Series came to an end on 11/1. And New York lost. New York equals 111. Matt Harvey wouldn't come out of the game until he pitched 111 pitches. And then they ended up losing the World Series. It's just such a joke. Matt Harvey, even the first pitcher to pitch against Houston this year, in Houston, right after Hurricane Harvey, Matt Harvey was the pitcher. People need to wake up. All of this is rigged. All of it is scripted this way. I forgot to include that Colin Kaepernick also equals 88. So all of these 88s, HH, Trump, Neil, Colin Kaepernick, the Star-Spangled Banner, and Gematria, they all equal 88. What are the odds of that, I've also been talking a lot about the World Series this year, beginning on the 88th anniversary of the stock market crash when Herbert Hoover was the president, right? The 88th anniversary when Trump equals 88 is the president. The World Series begins on the anniversary of Black Thursday. And in regards to all the race stuff, I know there's something that I'm missing. We just had the death of the former football player and also actor from I'm Gonna Get You Sucker, Bernie Casey. And he died. He was famous for being a San Francisco 49er and also a Ram. And then he died, just a day or 2 days before the 49ers and the Rams played on Monday night. Or, I don't know. I can't remember what night it was. It was one of the night games, Thursday, Sunday, or Monday. But he died just days before them two teams played. The reason that is significant to the National Anthem and all of the race stuff is because of Moses. The 49ers, where Colin Kaepernick used to play, they play in Levi's Stadium. Moses was in the tribe of Levi. And think about Moses in regards to freeing the slaves. In Gematria, Moses equals 71. The 10 Commandments also equal 71. What are the odds? And the reason the Rams are so important to all of that is because Moses was bringing in the age of Aries, and Aries is the ram, right? That's why they blew the ram's horn. So the Rams and the 49ers, super significant to Moses, and Moses is the guy who freed the slaves, just like Abraham Lincoln supposedly freed the slaves. And that's why Lincoln, Nebraska, and the Nebraska Cornhuskers are so significant to a lot of it. They play in the Sea of Red. Moses parted the Red Sea. I want to show why it's significant, too, to Abraham Lincoln and Moses. I've showed this multiple times, but the Civil War was all about the number 43. In Gematria, Civil War equals 43, and it began in Charleston that equals 43. Also, Abraham Lincoln, born on the 43rd day of the year, became president on March 4th, which in most parts of the world they read it 4/3, but it can also be 3/4. Lincoln died exactly 4 years, 3 days after the Civil War began. And so there's lots of 34 and 43. Even Kansas became the 34th state, I think 34 or 43 days before Lincoln became the president. In that year or whatever, they were the last state before to join the Union before the Civil War, the 34th state, 34 days before Lincoln became the president. But look at all the stuff in regards to Moses. Exodus equals 34, Hebrew 34, Egyptian 34, Serpent 34, Red Sea equals 34, Canaan equals 34, Sinai 34, Passover 34, Golden Calf equals 43, right? Remember, he was mad about the golden calf because the golden calf was Taurus the bull, and he was bringing in the age of Aries the ram. Where did it go? Aries equals 34, Lawgiver equals 34. I don't know why it keeps doing that. It's crazy. Oh well, you get what I'm saying. Moses and Abraham Lincoln, both connected to 43 and 34. They both supposedly freed the slaves. Think about that in regards to all this national anthem stuff. Also, Kaepernick was super connected to the Rams. Like, his last start in 2015 was against the Rams, and the last game that he played in 2015 was on November 8th. That was the same day that Teddy Bridgewater got knocked out against the Rams by LaMarcus Joyner. And that's also Sam Bradford, the ex-Rams, birthday. And then in 2016, just before playing the Rams, Teddy Bridgewater got the season-ending injury, and the Vikings, Teddy Bridgewater's team, picked up Sam Bradford, the ex-Ram. And the only team that the 49ers beat last season was they won 2 games. They beat the Rams both times. And they played them the first game of the season. That was the only game that Colin Kaepernick played that he didn't start in. So his last start of the previous season was against the Rams. And then he didn't start on the first game of the season against the Rams. The only two times they won were against the Rams, the 49ers and the Rams. Also, in regards to the death of Bernie Casey, then, if you read about him, he's most famous for catching a touchdown pass against the Packers. And the first game that Colin Kaepernick ever knelt in was the preseason game against the Packers. So, I got to keep following it. I don't exactly know what they're doing with it or where they're going. I've been following it for a couple of years, but they keep using the same theme in regards to the Rams and the 49ers. And, there's a lot of interesting stuff. San Francisco is where the Black Panther, or Oakland, the San Francisco Bay Area, is where the Black Panther Party was founded. It's also where the Church of Satan was founded. It's also where they have the Bohemian Grove. San Francisco also important to Pope Francis and whatnot. Pope Francis and San Francisco, both supposedly named after St. Francis of Assisi, the guy who supposedly received the first stigmata or whatever. Pope Francis equals 122. San Francisco equals 122, located on 122 degrees west. Pope Francis, the first Jesuit Pope, and he's also a Freemason. I'll show you really quick. Supposedly, if you're, a Catholic, you can't be a Freemason yet. Before Pope Francis was the Pope, he's sitting on this train doing the hidden hand pose that Freemasons use. So the leader of the Catholic Church is a Freemason. How does that work out, you know? These people are ruling over us, and they're making us fight over the stupidest crap ever. They make us think that we're fighting for freedom when really we're just fighting for an agenda of them. Anyway, in regards to Moses and whatnot, Aries in Jewish Gematria equals 185, just like Donald John Trump, just like stock market crash, just like World Trade Center. This same day then, it was September 23rd on this article, and it was about Steph Curry not wanting to go to the White House, and it was a big argument. Then LeBron James called Donald Trump, "you bum," or whatever. And this day was super synced up to Donald Trump and LeBron James and everything else. And the Pope, LeBron James in Jewish Gematria equals 923. And he tweeted this on 9/23. And if you remember, Donald Trump was, or LeBron James was also in the movie Trainwreck in 2015. And in that movie, it begins with Amy Schumer's character is 9 years old, and the rest of the movie takes place 23 years later. That's why LeBron James was in that movie. Trainwreck in Gematria, 122, like San Francisco, like Golden State, who won the NBA Finals that year, like Kansas City, who won the World Series that year. But there was a Philadelphia train wreck that year as well, before that movie came out, that supposedly happened at 9:23 p.m. And then we had Pope Francis come to America on his 923rd day as Pope, and he visited the White House at 9:23 a.m. on 9/23. All synced up to Pope Francis. And think about Golden State. The Warriors were originally from Philadelphia. They had Andre Iguodala, who won the MVP, who played most of his career in Philadelphia. Then he becomes the Golden State Warriors, or, becomes a Golden State Warrior. And the last place Pope Francis visited was Philadelphia, and he left on the Jesuit anniversary in 2015. But the point I want to get across is that, this story came out on 9/23. That's why LeBron James tweeted something. But LeBron James, they also went to the White House on November 10th. The Cavaliers did, after winning the finals in 2016, which was 318 days before LeBron James tweeted this. Cleveland Cavaliers equal 318 in Gematria. Also, the day that they visited the White House was also the first day that Donald Trump went there or whatever. They went there the same day Donald Trump was there, after being elected and whatnot. That's the day that leaves 51 days in the year, and everything about them was 51. They won their first sports championship in 51 years for the city of Cleveland. Cleveland equals 51. LeBron James equals 51. Cleveland Cavs equal 51. Quicken Loans, where they play, equals 51. You bum in Gematria equals 51. They went to the White House on the day that leaves 51 days in the year. If you recall, if you recall, LeBron James was even Jerome from the TV show Martin for Halloween. And, that show is all about the TV station Channel 51. Martin Lawrence was 51 years old when they won. The last episode aired on 5/1, May 1st. And look at the connections that LeBron James has to it. Jerome, 66. Just the word LeBron, 66. LeBron James in reverse, 66. Martin Lawrence, 66. That's why we got that story about LeBron James being Jerome for Halloween. The year before he was Prince, and then Kevin Love was Jackie Moon, and then Prince died on the night of a full moon. But my battery's dead. I'm out in my car. I'm just going to leave the video at that. Come to my blog. Come watch other videos I have. Tons of information. But the number 88 is all why we're getting these sports stories in regards to kneeling and when Donald Trump is the president. There's a whole lot more I could talk about, but running out of time, my battery's about dead. So, peace. Have a good one. Treat everyone with respect. And we got to get this across to the whole world, not just in America. We need the whole world to understand that, we all need to be united and not fighting over these people's fake stuff that makes us think that we're free and makes us think that we, have to be mad at each other. We don't have to be mad at each other. We have no reason. We all just need to be, be good to each other and don't kill each other because, or don't fight over things that don't matter. So, I don't know. Peace out. Have a good one.